Thank you, Darren. Well, you are inveighing, or at least by implication, against the MIPIM-UK property fair to be held at Earl's Court, Olympia, and you ask whether it will be to the advantage of Londoners that this spectacle should take place, and I think it will. And I'll just remind you that it won't just be London councils and London authorities who will be there. You will have representatives from every big city in this country. Manchester, Leeds, everybody will be at this property fair, trying to attract investment, trying to get business for their city, and that is quite proper.
But it's got to be about getting the right sort of developments and the right sort of investments. Using data.
What's the wrong sort?
Let me answer the question. But let me ask the question first, and you can answer it. Using data supplied to me by Private Eye, I've found out that since you've been mayor, overseas companies have bought property and land in London worth in the order of £100 billion. Two-thirds of companies registered in just 4 British tax havens. In one development you signed off in your Nine Elms regeneration area, 15% of the homes have so far been bought by overseas companies. Many other developments promoted 15%. At MIPIM see large numbers of homes bought in this way. Are you concerned about this phenomenon?
No, because if you just to get back to the several points. I think you've just referred to Battersea Nine Elms, where the principal development that's made the whole thing possible has come from Malaysia. I think that's what you're referring to, and I think frankly it's been a fantastic thing for London. How many more decades would that power station have stood vacant and idle? That whole plot of land, absolutely useless, wasted, without that investment. And that will bring homes. That will bring thousands of homes, thousands of jobs. We're putting in a new tube station. It would be an amazing thing for that part of London. Are you seriously telling me that you're so xenophobic that you would tell those Malaysian investors to hop it because they're Malaysian? Is that really what you're saying? If so, I think that you really need another thing coming. The second point.
Is it xenophobic to be concerned about companies being registered through tax havens? Is that xenophobic?
Even if you are opposed to foreign investment, which it seems to me to be eccentric, and I remind you that every other city in the UK is actually going to be at MIPIM clamouring for overseas investment because they know the regenerational impact it can have. I just remind you that it is still the case in London that overseas sales account for only 3% by volume in this city and 6.5% by value. And it is a myth to say that homes are being left empty or desolate in London. The number of empty homes in London is now 1.7% of housing stock, which is the lowest on record. And I just think that there's a kind of interesting sort of an interesting anti-foreigner rhetoric of the left when it comes to housing investment, and you cloak prejudice.
This is not about foreigners. There's actually now.
So you're right if they came to Manchester.
There's actually a trend now of UK buyers registering as overseas companies in tax havens to avoid things like inheritance tax, to avoid various taxes. That is not about xenophobia. That is about actually putting a housing system in place and the financial system in place that actually benefits London.
Yes, well, what you've got actually is colossal investment in London by people from this country, from.
But you're not concerned about people using these loopholes to avoid tax.
And if investors persist in veiling their identity by using companies, and as you know, there is the annual tax on enveloped dwellings, which was applied a couple of years ago, has been raised substantially since, and is now generating colossal sums in revenue for the Treasury, which we can use to spend on civilised objectives for this country. And overwhelmingly, it is in the interests of London to remain open to investment. It would be very, very foolish if we were to send out a signal to international pension funds, international investors, that we don't want their money because they're foreign. And, what are you supposed to say to Canadian pension funds, please? Dutch pension funds, investments from Gulf states which enable colossal development to go ahead in London that otherwise have been stymied and stalled? And it's a good thing for our city.
Thank you. The Green Group are out of time.